YouTube, this is HK858, and I'm going to talk about a few other cards I'd like to see made into standard or modern, even some cool reprints. And I do have some videos you could check out of other list of cards that I have. I've got like compiled of 100 plus cards that I would think it'd be cool to see make it through standard, make it into modern, or just see a reprint in like a dual deck, but mostly getting them into standard or modern to see what they can do in the format. And also I have a link in the description below talking about how to implement some of these cards into modern instead of going through standard. So these are just going to be just some random trickery cards. Trickery modern cards, or trickery cards in general. So the first one is Spore Frog, 1 mana, 1/1 green frog. Sack a Spore Frog to prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. Just a fog on a creature. They've done this before. There's a few different versions. Some are modern already, but this would be kind of a cool little add-in. This one I definitely could see as a standard option. Throw it into standard, run it through standard. It's just Spore Frog. That can fit almost on any plane, almost. You'd think, at least. Unless there's going to be another... I haven't looked it up, but there's probably another creature type with it. But mostly it's just a Spore Frog. Magus of the Will. It's 3 mana for 3/3, and then you exile it. Until end of turn, you may play cards from your graveyard. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile it instead. It's basically like another... I think it's a sorcery or enchantment, but Magus of the Will. We already have a ton of other Maguses in the modern format, and this would be kind of another cool one to see, and I can even see this going to standard to see what kind of decks it can breed. It's already slow anyways because it's 3 mana you have to play down. It has Summoning Sickness. You have to pay 3 to exile it to get its effect. Outside of that, it's a pretty good card. Commander deck's already loving it. Because I think this is a conspiracy card, one of the recent conspiracy sets. So, kind of cool to see this come around into modern. And like I said, standard could actually use it because it might be more viable in standard than modern. Containment Priest, 2 mana, 2/2 flash, human cleric. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. This would be great against some of the graveyard shenanigans that are out there. Good way to shut them down a bit. I'm not saying it would destroy them, but anyone running white, it would actually slow those decks down. This one I can even see going into standard, maybe to control those decks. Outside of that, really it can just probably be thrown into modern in a way. I think it'd be kind of cool to see one of those like hate bear style decks, and this would be one of the sideboard options as a 2 of or a 3 of. Magus of the Wheel. 3 mana for 3/3. Tap, sack, each player discards their hand and then draws 7 cards. It's just a wheel effect. I think it'd be kind of cool to see it thrown into standard or modern to see what they would do with how powerful it'll be. I can see this one being ran more than Magus of the Will. But yeah, this one is one of those cool ones I always thought it'd be kind of cool to see. Make it into a standard or format just in the standard or modern format. Refirm, this is standard viable. Modern viable, I highly doubt it because it can just easily be exiled to Path or Anger of the Gods. But standard, it can see some use in standard. 4 mana for 0/1, but that dies, it becomes a 3/3. That 3/3 dies, it becomes a 6/6. That 6/6 dies, it becomes a 9/9. So it's just a fish getting eaten by a bigger fish, and then by a bigger fish, and then by a bigger fish. I think it'd be kind of cool to see this in standard. See what kind of crazy deck shenanigans could be made out of this, especially if you're in some sort of sacrifice engine deck. So, or at worst case scenario, it's kind of a control card. If there's no major exile cards in modern or standard, this will actually get around a lot of those kill spells. It might be pretty powerful too for standard. But hey, getting it up to a 9/9 would be kind of cool. Dual Caster Mage. In 3 mana for 2/2 flash. Enters the battlefield. Copy an instant or sorcery. May choose new targets. This is basically the Red's version of a Snapcaster Mage, but for 1 more mana. I personally would love to see this card in Modern because it could do some crazy, insane things. Like, for one, they play Cryptic Command on one of your spells. You still have 3 mana open. You play this and you Cryptic Command their Cryptic Command. How cool is that? How cool is that to Cryptic their own Cryptic Command in red? So, any sort of red control deck could probably pick this up, or any red-blue control deck, just to copy their spells, especially if they're going to kill off one of your creatures with like a lightning helix. You play this, you get a creature out of it, and you get a helix either one of their creatures or their face. So I'm surprised this has not been made in even standard. I don't know how powerful this would be in standard. I just know that it'd be a pretty interesting and powerful card. Modern, you could pretty much pick it up somewhere, or maybe build a deck similar around it, between that and Snapcaster Mage. Tangle, excuse me, Tangle, 1 green, prevents combat damage, and then the attacking creatures don't untap during their controller's untap step. Their next untap steps. This is kind of a cool little fog effect. I can't see this being too powerful, but it's a pretty powerful fog effect to shut your opponent's cards down for a turn. I know any sort of Turbo Fog style deck would love to pick this up because it slows their cards down. So if you already have a card that taps their creatures down for a turn, this just helps that out. Helps that type of strategy out. Would this be great? I think it would be. I can see where this could be played in quite a few different strategies. Weirdly enough, I could see Eldrazi picking it up because they could splash the green, and if they're going against decks that love to have all those extra like goblins and stuff out, all you have to do is fog for a turn. Oh, you can't untap. Gives you a turn to breathe. But I won't ever really see that in Eldrazi, but it's kind of a cool thought because it's just 1 green instead of 2 green. I personally, if I made this version of a card, the only thing I would add to this is a card draw effect. Either cycling or draw a card. The last card on my list is Bind. Counter target activated ability. Draw a card. It's probably just one of those weird counterspell type effects, but it's a counter ability effect. So let's see what we can do with it. But after that, this is the end of the list for now, and I will see you later.